Are you going to be a leader on this issue and stand with 75% of Americans on gun licensing, on mandatory, on assault weapons ban? Where do you stand? Because again, we should not have to wait until this comes to your community. In the last debate, I said it. I grew up in the suburbs. I didn't see this kind of violence when I was a 20-something-year-old. I still remember the day, one of the first days I was living in the neighborhood I live in now, coming out and seeing the aftermath of a shooting. It changed me dramatically because I knew the horrors of this. Beto O'Rourke was not for gun licensing. Criticized me when I came out for it. He saw the horrors visiting his community. Are we going to have to wait until hell's lottery comes to your community? No, we are a better country.
Congressman, I want to come back to something you just alluded to there, the national gun licensing aspect of your plan. Senator Booker was here a few hours ago, and basically to paraphrase what he said, he basically said you kind of took that idea from him. And that you came around on a national gun register. Is that accurate?
I will say this. I want to give Senator Booker all the credit in the world for being a leader on this. This is not a moment to seek division. The fact that we are on the same page on this issue, the fact that he's joined, really, I was going to say but March for Our Lives leadership on a mandatory buyback for AR-15s and AK-47s, that's a really good thing and a very good sign, not just for our party, but for our country. We talked about what is politically possible. We've seen, just over the last few months, the ground shift, the center of gravity move so much further into the direction of common sense gun policy.
Safe to say you think that federal firearms licensing goes too far?
I'll tell you what, I think that Senator Cory Booker has made an incredibly bold proposal that's commensurate with the crisis that we see in this country. More than 30,000 of our fellow Americans will lose their lives to gun violence this year. And so I think his request of us that in addition to those steps that I just talked about, we put everything on the table to make sure that we address this crisis with the urgency that it demands. I think he is to be commended for doing this. I think we should explore that idea and make sure that at the end of the day, we are focused first and foremost on saving the lives of our fellow Americans. And so I'm grateful that he's making these proposals, and I think that's something that should be on the table to be discussed.
What changed since last night?
What I said last night is, first and foremost, I'm grateful for what Senator Booker has done. He's helping to elevate this conversation, to add urgency to a crisis that we have in this country that will take the lives of more than 30,000 of our fellow Americans this year. And I focused on those things on which we agree and on which I've been campaigning. Universal background checks, an assault weapons ban, red flag laws, closing all loopholes that are open today to ensure that we save more lives. And those policies, I think, have the greatest chance of producing the consensus necessary to get them passed and get them enacted and to save lives. And what I think Senator Booker has done is to push us past that, to seek to do even more. And I'm grateful that he's done that. And I, as I've thought about it, I really think that we should be looking at everything. If it is not politically feasible today, that should not disqualify it from consideration. And so, you ask between last night and today, just some time, and some reflection, and a desire to better understand his proposal and to see how we can work together to save the lives of the people that we care about in this country. And so that's
violence central to. For me, it really took listening to those families who had lost someone in El Paso, who had survived that mass shooting, to think that problem all the way through and realize that if it was bad to sell them, then to leave 10 million of them out there on the streets, every single one of them a potential instrument of terror, that was wrong too, and we must buy them back. I used to be almost proud of the fact that I could have this conversation with people who had AR-15s at our town halls in Texas when I was running for Senate, and just kind of, said, well, that's Texas, and they're responsible gun owners, and there's nothing to fear. I now know there's a lot to fear, and those weapons are brought out to make us afraid.
We can get background checks done now. We can get red flag laws done now. We can get something done about the new sale of assault weapons now. We cannot wait for these other debates to play out, even if they're healthy debates, to get that action done, because lives are on the line.
So, to me, no me importa. It doesn't matter how soon you get to a given position, as long as you're in the right place. And I'm grateful that Senator Booker is on the right place on so many of these issues. And whatever our relative positions are after the end of this election, I really do look forward to working with him and everyone else, anyone else on this, Republican, Democrat, Independent. Before we are any of those things, we are Americans first, and we're going to start acting in the national interest. So grateful for what he's doing. Yeah.